there's expectations. Expectations, there's going to be, the reasons to believe, but I want to understand. I want to feel good about my decision. I want to know that I made a choice.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, and then Angelo is also because once you realize which business are you really in, that is gonna be is what is gonna become your core message for your branding, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
You
It's
have
about that value. It's about value. What are you bringing? Why should I, what benefits do I get from buying your products or your services? Not about the service. And that's where I think companies, a lot of times they talk about themselves. They talk about their products and services instead of speaking to you, the customer, and why you should buy, the relevancy of how you're going to benefit from wearing my shirt or buying my drill or whatever it happens to be. And so there's a kind of a customer-centric approach to communications versus a company-centric. There's expectations. Expectations, there's going to be, the reasons to believe, but I want to understand. I want to feel good about my decision. I want to know that I made a choice. I mean, I don't know if you've ever, sometimes we ventured out and say, I don't know this brand, but this is a really cool jacket and I don't know them, but I'm going to take a chance. And then you get the product and, it's cheap and you didn't spend a lot of money, but now all of a sudden this actually just happened. We saw this cat product is auto flow of water, because when we go, let's say, leave our cat, we want to make sure the cat's getting fresh water. So the product looked big and blah blah blah, and we took a week to get here. It cost $30, but we didn't read the fine print. Came out of China, and I can't send it back unless it's broken. But they're only going to give me a new one. So I'm out $30. The product was tiny, needed a plug, which it never said it did, and it's useless. So, now it's in the trash. So
yeah.
then you took a gamble on something that sounded good, but you didn't know the brand, right? And I want to spend $50 or $100 for a brand that I knew. So again, it's about all
Customer
those different
experience.
pieces, customer experience, exactly.
But then, Angelo, this is got the most interesting part, because now you were 20, 30 years, 40 years in a business, and now it's your time to exit. And now, what you're selling is not yourself, you're selling a brand. And if you haven't built the brand, you have nothing. Uh,
Yeah, well,
so the business is not hurry. The business no. When we're gonna exit business, the other day, my cousin, yeah, was sharing with me, told me, Harry, like, I have a maintenance company, and I'm telling no to clients because I only take the jobs that I can do because I want to work hand to hand with my team, and the other clients, they had to wait, and this is how I'm operating. And I told him, look, number one, don't say no to clients. And number two, the more you go and you work with your team, the more you're devaluing your business, because you're not building a brand. You just have a business. So if one day you want to exit this, you won't be able to exit this business, because the business does only operate as you are around. So um, there is no future for this business, which is no future for any business to exit it. You cannot sell it if you haven't built the brand, because this is actually what the what the buyer is interested in. Exactly like you say, it takes time to buy a brand, and you can see these big brands, look, Gucci, these luxury brands, they are owned by bigger groups that bought those brands, yeah, for a lot of money, but because those brands represent something, right?
yeah. So in an acquisition, a couple things, right? If a company's going to acquire you, they're going to acquire you for a reason, whether it's a financial reason or whether it's a strategic reason, right? They want you because you have something that they don't. Or, and it could not even be a product. It could be access to a new market or a new segment. And so, but on the flip side, when you're thinking about exiting, and I always say the rule of thumb is start thinking about exiting kind of when you start your business because it takes time to understand what you're going to do. And you're seeing a lot of boomers right now, right? They're aging. They don't want to be involved anymore. They want to sell the business. Now, if you're selling manufacturing company or a physical product, it's a little easier than if you're selling yourself. To go off your statement earlier, I mean, I'll take my business. I mean, my business is me and a handful of people. But the last time when I sold my advertising agency, part of the deal was I had to go with it for a period of time. Why? Because, you know, I had creative people, I had media people, I had people, and I had some accounts that could come and go. What they bought was our ability to build and grow and to find new business and secure that business. And that was me and my partner at the time. And we had to fulfill that. So in a service business, a little bit difficult unless you're setting that tone. You have law firms. You have multiple people on the sign, right? You can exit and you can still have your business. They can buy you out, those kinds of things. But if you're a solopreneur or just a couple people and you're involved, in the day to day, you're not out there trying to build what we talked about earlier, networking, building your partnerships and doing all that to create a greater value that I could buy your business, but I ultimately don't need you. The business can run without you. Now I got maybe something I can buy. But if the business is 100% dependent on you, then I got to buy you. Right. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the service business, don't really understand it. They spend years building a business and they now want to sell. What are you going to sell? Clients. Yeah, clients can come and go. I was one of my clients in the payments industry, and we talked about acquiring portfolios, but at the end of the day, they can come and go. Like there's no security in doing that. So, that's not necessarily a strategy for us versus, hey, I want to acquire, I want to grow, I want to buy a new manufacturing company that does powder coating because I do machining. Now I've got some synergies. It's a strategic buy, gets me into new markets, new solutions. So people have to really think about if their goal is to exit, back to how do you build that brand? How do you build that recognition? How do you build that structure that somebody wants it
So that's the only
beyond
thing
the
that you
fact?
can pass on. Yeah, it's not about okay, my brand. Let's say I don't know, Amazon. Yeah, it's not about that name, Amazon. This is not what the people are acquiring. The people are acquiring the whole experience that is behind that name, and they want to they want to take that name, that brand that you develop, which you have a certain brand standards and customer experience, right? And they can either incorporate to the products and services that they have. Sometimes those products, that brand aligns with the values of the company that is acquiring them. But still, you have to, if this is not defined, right, it's gonna be very difficult to the people to acquire you, to people to buy your business because they don't know what they're buying. They don't know what the company stands for. They don't know what is the big goal, what is the big vision, what is the capacity for growth. If this is not clear, then Angelo, the other question that I want to ask you is, so when it comes to branding, again, the issue is the following: is so important, but so difficult to entrepreneurs to calculate the return on investment because it's not something like, for example, marketing. You take $2 in advertising and you sell your product at 10. Okay, you can do that all the time because um, you're making profit. So you take the $2 again, you put in advertising, you get 10. So you know that in that operation is giving you a profit, right? Now, branding completely different, because branding, it will take this product that maybe you sell it for 10, and if you do the right story, you improve the customer experience, uh, you improve all that story behind the product and how they make it feel to the clients, and touch into that, tap into that emotions and feeling for the client. Now the product, rather than 10, could be 20, could be 30, and now it's going to become a medium high product, and you're talking about serious money, a lot of money that can be made when you are telling your story consistently, when you're building that brand. Because at the end of the day, like I said, same thing that you said with the vodka, the cost of the products is roughly the same. Okay, if you have better brand, you have to use better quality, but you have huge margins when you build your brand. But then entrepreneurs are not able to calculate that gap, and that's why they don't take it branding seriously, and they only take it seriously when they're gonna exit, right? And they only start to take it seriously when somebody else is selling a similar product at double, two, three times, that they don't understand what's going on. So, what message do you have for the entrepreneurs that are not taking branding seriously?
Well, I think that I think there's a kind of a true better understanding of what brand stands for, and it isn't just kind of the pieces. It is about everything we talked about. It's about the story. It's about the messaging. It's about the service. It's about the product. It's about the positioning. It's about your differentiation. All those different pieces make up that brand. And if you just take the word brand out of it, you would not, and maybe you would, launch a product without doing some of these things. And I know companies do that all the time. And so the brand itself, what you don't want to happen is let the market define who you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And think of it, especially in an entrepreneurial state, whatever products or service you're selling, the reflection is really you, right? So think about how you want to be perceived in the market, how you want people to think about you. We'll make it simple. That's what you want your brand to stand for. That's what your brand needs to communicate and be reflective. And as companies grow, that starts to change. But in small companies, it's if you've got a lot of integrity and you want to be trustworthy. Those are the characteristics you want your brand to stand for. And again, don't call it brand, just call it your company. But that's what you want to stand for. And I think you have to look at, if you're all those things, right? You're conscientious, you're trustworthy, you've got a lot of integrity, blah, blah, blah. You don't want your brand to be the complete opposite of that. And if you let the market define you, and again, especially like we talked earlier, you make a mistake, get some bad food, your clothing falls apart, you get mad, somebody hops online, starts writing bad reviews. That's really about your reputation, which is reflective in your brand, right? So you get a bad reputation. So brand management is extremely important in recognizing that ultimately that's what people are buying. They're not necessarily buying you, they're buying what that brand stands for, which is your reflection of you. But that's it. It isn't about the product itself. It's about what the product stands for, or what's behind the brand, behind the product, which is the brand name. That brand, having a solid brand, allows you to expand your products, allows you to expand markets. Why? Because you've built this strength of, I can take this product now, I can go from one segment to another segment, I can go into new markets because I have something I can carry forward. And going into new markets, new offerings, I don't know who you are, then all you're doing is just throwing more stuff out there. But it doesn't solve a problem per se, right? It's just a shirt. Well, that shirt stacked up against a Calvin Klein or a Marc Jacobs or somebody like that is a big competitive reference. That's why the brand is important. and whether the brand is the person, right? A lot of those people I just named, they're the designers. They became the reflection of the brand. They stand for something. So even if it's your name, my company was called Angelo Ponzi. I want it to reflect who I am. I can't let it get trashed. I can't get have a bad brand image or a brand image. So I think, to your audience, they really need to step back and understand the importance of having that solid positioning and perception of who you are. And you need to control that. You can't let the market define who you are, because they might define you not the way you want to be defined.
And also the alignment between the corporate brand and the personal brand, because that's the other thing as well, that the the personal brand of the founder has to be aligned with the corporate brand, because that's also something that the clients that now they are very savvy. They want to know, more, not even about the brand story, about what the product represents, but also who's the person behind the brand and what the person represents and how is the personal brand of that person. So, but if we take all these boxes, we are in the root for success. Angelo, if the people want to learn more about what we discussed today, how they can find you and how the process work?
Sure. The best way is to go to LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. That has links to all my website and all my channels. And my website would be the second place to go, but LinkedIn is the first. I have I publish a lot of blogs and articles, and you can find those on my website. Also on my website, I've got some free resources that you can download. But those are probably the two biggest places to go. And again, LinkedIn would be the way to get to all of them.
Last question, Angelo. Why you decide to become an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I think it's reflective of my parents. My father decided he wanted to work for himself, and he was probably in his early 30s. And so my whole life, I just saw him running his own business.
Wow.
And I thought that, would be the way to go. I actually started my first business when I was 23. It failed miserably.
Well, welcome to the club. That's what happened.
Yeah, but it was a good
Part of the process.
experience. Yeah, and I think that has just always been in the back of my mind, and that's what I did. I've gone my own businesses. I've worked for people, but
Why your dad told you the first day that you told him that you're gonna build your business? He was not happy. He preferred you to go to school, or
Oh no, I went to school. I did go to school, and I was working for somebody, and I was excited about an industry segment, and I met a couple guys that were older than me, and they convinced me that we could start a business and be successful. But unfortunately, my first lesson was you can't always depend on what somebody tells you. And
good
I
that you learned
realized that,
very early, yeah.
yeah,
Very
I
early.
learned very early. But yeah, even the last job I had, which was back in 2014, I went there. The recruiter said, it's a family business, 30 years, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, all these things are gonna happen. And then the company gets acquired. We had a government side of the business and a commercial side. I was on the commercial, and the company that acquired us was doing a big presentation on the future of the business. And at the end of the presentation, I raised my hand and said, "My division's not in your plan." And I watched them, the eyes go up. I watched them do a little song and dance. And oh, you're Barry, you're tucked in over here. And I just, okay, I'm done. I'm done letting people control my life. So, and I had done this before, so I went back and decided to go start a business again.
Fantastic. So thank you so much, Angelo, for this broadcast and to share valuable knowledge with our audience, and we invite all these entrepreneurs listening to this podcast, like, to pay attention what we discussed today, because we speak the truth, and branding is key when it comes to become a business, to be an entrepreneur. Because if you're able to build that brand, you will be able to exit that business. Yeah, but also, it can increase a lot your turnover and the growth of your company, because you literally can charge more for your product or your services, because the people are not buying a product, the people will buy what your brand represents. They want to be part of that community, want to be part of that tribe that use your product and service, and they don't mind to pay an extra for that. So thank you so much, Angelo. And for you, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Angelo break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
All right. Thank you, Harry.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.